This case was never solved, but that might not be true. No one in Whitechapel expected that Montague John Druitt would become the face of a mystery that would haunt London for more than a century. In the late summer and autumn of 1888, the East End was a labyrinth of narrow courts and gaslit alleys, crowded with the desperate and the dispossessed. Into that world came a string of murders so brutal they ripped open the civic complacency of Victorian Britain. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, and Catherine Eddowes in the single night known as the Double Event, and finally, Mary Jane Kelly. The press named the Phantom Killer Jack the Ripper. The public demanded answers. The police scrambled. The Metropolitan Police, led in the streets by Inspector Frederick Aberline and in the corridors by Commissioner Sir Charles Warren, faced a storm of terror, ridicule, and political pressure. Newspapers fed panic with sensationalist copy. Letters arrived, most famously the "Dear Boss" note that coined the name Jack the Ripper, and the gruesome "From Hell" parcel that claimed to contain a kidney. Historians now believe many of these missives were hoaxes, some likely written by journalists to stoke circulation. But the letters altered the investigation, creating myth and misdirection where police needed rigor. Into this turmoil came conspiracies, both accidental and intentional. The Whitechapel community, heavily populated by Jewish immigrants, became a target. A hastily scrawled graffito on Golston Street, discovered near a blood-stained piece of apron linked to Catherine Eddowes, read something about the Jews, and Commissioner Warren ordered it erased to prevent anti-Semitic rioting. That act itself was later seized upon by critics as a cover-up, and the police's sensitivity sparked suspicion. Were authorities concealing evidence or simply trying to keep the peace? By 1894, two official memoranda, one by Assistant Chief Constable Melville McNacton and another by Chief Inspector Donald Swanson, recorded three names the police privately suspected: Michael Ostrog, Aaron Kosminski, and Montague John Druitt. Druitt was a young barrister and teacher who, according to Swanson's notes, had been suspected because he was last seen about the time the murder stopped. His body was found in the Thames in late December 1888, an apparent suicide. On paper, his disappearance and death offered a tidy conclusion. The killing ceased because the killer was gone. For a public desperate for closure, that narrative was irresistible. But tidy narratives can be conspiratorial in themselves. McNaughton's memo contained errors, dates and details that didn't match police records, and it named suspects on grounds that were thin, contradictory, or rooted in social prejudice. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish-born barber committed to Colney Hatch Asylum, became a suspect largely because he was a local immigrant with known mental illness. Evidence tying him to the killings was circumstantial. Later, sensational claims would point to high society, even royalty, but no credible historical record supports such theories. What is factual is less glamorous. Judicial impatience, police rivalries, journalistic hoaxes, and anti-immigrant bias all funneled blame and obscured evidence. The result was a conspiracy of mismanagement rather than of malice. The authorities, under immense pressure, preferred plausible scapegoats to uncertainty. Investigators suppressed inflammatory graffiti, accepted dubious letters as leads, and memorialized suspects in flawed documents that generations would treat as confessions. In the centuries since, the Ripper case has been mined for new suspects, for DNA claims, and forensic re-examinations. Some modern studies have pointed back to Kosminski, others insist Druitt's suicide was coincidental. Every new claim revives the same chilling truth: the real killer was never conclusively identified. The Whitechapel murders expose not only a murderer, but the frailties of a society that wanted both moral order and convenient answers. Montague John Druitt's tragic death became a focal point for closure, but the deeper story is about fear and reputation, and how institutions respond when a city demands certainty it cannot divert. The conspiracy, if it can be called that, is this: in the scramble to restore calm, the mechanisms of justice, press, police, and public colluded in producing narratives that felt like solutions, but were for many reasons incomplete. To this day, the bloody alleys of Whitechapel offer no neat verdict, only the echo of steps that passed into darkness, and a case that remains hauntingly unresolved.